record on this computer. All right, so welcome everybody. A few new faces here. I need to introduce myself too much. Wesley, the SSRF, welcome. Good to see everybody here. Today we're going to dig into SSRF, server-side request forgery. And as per usual, we have a few resources for you. But this time what's different is that we actually made a study guide in here as well. This study guide covers the topics that we cover, so it's not going to go too deep into all of these different not going to go too deep into all of these different topics. It's a study guide. That's not what it's for. But it is supposed to give you an idea of what we learned today. So you have an overview. I know that some people have been asking for this. So I know that that is helpful. And I would also like to remind everybody that since you are here, if you have subscribed through this bot, you can actually generate a certificate for this lesson, and the bot will DM you like a nice certificate that you can print out and that you can show on HR. It asks you the name, so the XSSRat, I would like on that. I did that because sometimes you don't want to give your full name in a Discord server. I understand that, but you can DM the bot. It will give you like a nice certificate for you that Orgis is working on. This is going to be prettier. You can regenerate them, so don't worry too much about it. But the bot has all sorts of advantages. Like, for example, you can manage your lesson plans. You can get an overview of the upcoming lessons. And if you want, you can also view that on our website that is auto-generated, basically. We're going to put more functionality in here later. Not yet. The bot is our main focus on this point because it's just so easy, you know, for me to manage my crowd. And I also told my people already in the Discord server as well, it's so much easier for me to give out a coin than to give out like $7 or $15 to join a lesson, you know. It's different because if I say here's a seat to a lesson, I lock you into a seat to a lesson. If I give you a coin, you can maybe like buy another coin and get to a 2 coin lesson that you want, or you can join a 1 coin lesson, or you can wait until you get another coin from a giveaway. So that's why I like that coin system so much. And like, I really appreciate all of the positive feedback that we've gotten about that, by the way. It's really awesome the way that you're handling this bot. You're you're handling it with care. You're super gentle. I love seeing that. You guys are scared to break it. Don't be scared to break it. You have my permission to do bug bounties on it. Just don't do deletes or whatever. You know that's not the intention. Let's move on to SSRF, server-side request forgery. We did this exercise. Oh, no problem, Benny. Pleasure to meet you, by the way. I see a few new faces in here. I see Mark in here as well. Pleasure to meet you. And Wesley as well. Pleasure to meet you as well. The rest are familiar faces. Oh, Mariusz, pleasure to meet you as well. Would you like a Porsche, perhaps? No? Okay. No? Perfect. It's awesome that Mariusz doesn't want his Porsche, right? I mean, I can give it away to somebody else in that regard. So SSRF, we did this exercise before. I'm going to ask it again from people who are here. Rate yourself from 0 to 10 on your knowledge about server-side request forgery, please. Put that in the chat. And then at the end, I'm going to ask that same question again. And then I want to see if you still think that way, if you like, what have you learned and stuff like that. Is just for me because I want to gauge like a little bit if I'm effective at bringing up the knowledge. You know what I mean? It's super important because I already told this in the previous meeting. For me, it is really difficult to verbalize and to explain things that I know because I know them. And if you don't know what I know and I just skip over explaining that, I'm going to have real trouble as a teacher. You get what I'm saying, right? All right, thank you. I really appreciate it, everybody. So let's take that study guide for a second. I also have notes myself that I've written on a piece of paper, and that is my first tip for everybody here. Write shit down on paper. We also have a recording. I'm going to give you the link to the recording, by the way. And could I please ask the people here, by the way, you don't have to use the bot, you don't have to use the cheese coins or whatever, but could I please ask you to join our server because I would really like to add you just to the lesson channel because it's easier for me to distribute all of the lesson materials and stuff like that. Thanks. I really appreciate it. You don't have to interact with the bot or anything. It's just to bring out like lesson materials and extra assignment stuff like that. Because after this lesson, what I usually do is I give you an assignment as well, not directly, maybe 1 or 2 days later, just to catch you off guard. But it's important, I think, to like refresh your knowledge. Knowledge retention is all about repetition. So you're going to have to repeat the stuff on your own. Now I have a little bit of a presentation. Let's start there. Server-side request forwarding. What is it? So the name says it all, right? You get this server to forward a request on its own side. There we go. End of lesson. Let's go home. Good job, everybody. 10 out of 10 would rate it again. Uh, let's get a little bit deeper into it, though. What is really SSRF? So the name says it all, right? Server-side request forgery. You have a server and you're going to make that server do a request to another server or to an endpoint or to an API endpoint or whatever, but you're going to make that do a request. Why would you want to make another server do a request to another server? Anybody have a guess? I'm going to give you an example. Intranet is an intranet of a company available from the outside world. Indeed, it's not. Would that be interesting for us as hackers to browse through and to maybe find out some more information about? I would definitely think so, right? So server-side request forgery, since this server is inside of the internal network, it might have access to the intranet. We're going to go deeper into that later, much deeper. So there are different internal APIs, for example, that you might want to access, because has anybody heard about the microservice architecture before? Yeah. Where the fuck's my iPad? There we go. Okay, that's really good. Let's see if I can now find my pen. That's always a struggle here in this household. Like I can find my iPad, no problem, and then I have this fucking pen and I cannot find it. It's a mess. My head is a mess. Like it's a broken mess, I tell you. I went to Cybersecurity Europe, by the way. That conference wasn't really that interesting for you guys. I think it wasn't even really that interesting for me. It was more like that conference was more about, like, of course, the defending side, the companies. What was interesting is that I am a CEO. I am a C-suite person, so I was walking around with C-suite badge. Everybody was like, "Why the fuck is that more?" I'm wearing a T-shirt with a rat on it and a C-suite badge. Hey, I manage these two fuckers, like Orcus and Marius. I manage them really, really well. I'm the best manager that ever managed in this whole wide managing world. There we go. You must believe that. You must believe that, I tell you. Otherwise, you're fired. Oh, aren't our lessons fun, gentlemen? Lovely, lovely evenings. So let's get back to SSRF before we drift off too much. Let's go back to microservice architecture. I'm going to go to draw.io just for a second. That makes it a little bit easier. I'm just going to make a new diagram. And I'm going to show you what I mean by microservices. Microservices, SSRF. So a microservice architecture, basically you have an API that acts as some kind of gateway. So this is just your gateway. And you have some internal services, like for example, you have a products API. You have a users API. And you might have an orders API. And as a user, I am not going to directly talk to that endpoint, but as a user, I will talk to the gateway, and the gateway, he will translate it into wherever it needs to go, right? Ooh, that's a strange human being, but that's okay. So basically, this will determine where it needs to go. It will grab the information, it will turn it to the user. Now, the thing is, as a user, I might find it interesting to directly talk to this, but that may not be allowed. Now, why may that not be allowed? This might be only accessible from the internal network. So here we say, no, only internal network access. But what could I do is I could, as a hacker, ooh, crazy spooky hackers. Hacker is going to make gateway which form an SSRF tag, meaning this server will do the request for me. Basically, and then I might have less protection. Why is that? This API gateway, if I talk to API gateway and I grab orders with number 12, there might be really good SQL injection protection on there. So that's one thing. If you have then really good SQL injection protection, it's going to be difficult. But if you are talking to the gateway and you have an SSRF attack, you might be able to bypass those filters. You might also be able to talk to APIs which normally have no endpoints. Now, what does all of this require from you as a hacker? There's one important thing that you need to have from the thing that you're going to hack. What am I talking about? Anybody an idea? Come on, read my mind, guys. You can do it. I believe in you. Make me proud. Nobody? Knowledge. You need knowledge of the network. That's a really good guess. I like that, Thomas. That's a really good one. Knowledge, internal IPs, we're kind of saying the same thing. You cannot hack what you don't know. So that means that if you have like something like a blind SSRF, you're gonna be like, it's going to be difficult to hack that thing. Yeah, exactly. So you really need to have good knowledge of the internal network. Now, as a hacker, you don't really know what's running in the internal network. Sorry, go ahead. Oh, sorry. I thought somebody had a question. You don't really know what's going on in the internal network, and you don't even really know the internal network's IP address. Like, there could be a huge range of IP addresses. It could be 192.168.01 and range 254 at the end, but it could also be a bigger range, a much, much, much bigger range. It all depends, of course. So with that in mind, finding out, no problem. Hope you're fine, Marius. With that in mind, you really need to have patience if you're hacking for SSRF. This is not something in which you're just going to say like XSS, like XSS, you do filter bypasses. That's one thing. You try to steal something. You need patience, fine. But SSRF basically requires sometimes that you do scans of the entire internal network through SSRF. Basically, if I make an SSRF request and I get something back, I know the server exists there. If I then up the IP by 1 and I don't get anything back, I know the server doesn't exist there. You get where I'm saying? So I can do like on port 80, I can do that, but I can also do that on port 22, by the way. Like, for example, because port 22, you know, SSH, that's usually going to be open on a server. So I have options. I definitely have options, but it takes a while. Plus, I really need you guys to be a little bit technical in what the fuck you're doing. So realize that you need to be like, you really need to start learning what programming and automation and scripting mean. So we're going to do some automation. We're going to do some scripting as well. It's important that you try to keep up, but if you cannot keep up, no problem, just go back. The thing with that scripting is that we're going to try to scan the internal network. We're going to try to do some port scans, and I'm going to sorry, what about an Nmap or snuffing of Wireshark? But Thomas, these things are only accessible from the internal network. I'm not talking about externally accessible servers. So literally, you cannot even Nmap or sniff them unless you are in the network. And what is in the network? Already the gateway. Indeed, the gateway already exists, but you don't hack this. You do not have access to this server. all you can make is an API or an HTML request. It depends. So basically, you cannot do Nmap on this. You can only make an HTTP request, but you can do that on different ports, of course. Like the thing is with this, you can, like, for example, scan an entire network for web servers. That's one thing you could do. You could scan the entire network for web servers really easily because you can really easily launch HTTP requests. Sorry, did anybody have a question? Feel free to interrupt me if you have a question, by the way, because I might be going a little bit too fast from time to time. It's okay. We will practice this stuff, by the way. Now, I talked a little bit about blind and verbose SSRF already. The difference between that is in verbose SSRF, you're actually going to get some feedback. Like you're going to make a request, the web server is going to show you the response. In blind SSRF, that is not the case. And I'm sorry, I'm just putting the hamster away because the thing is making me crazy with its wheel. I need some WD-40, not the hamster, by the way, the wheel. Anyway, so let's have a little bit of a look-see at the SSRF things because they can be quite pesky, right? So let's look at one of these things that I've created on here. Let's see. There's a few things on here, as you can see, and we'll do quite a few of them. I'm just thinking it's just gonna be by the app.py. Of course. Oh, screw you. My up key is broken. Python app.py. All right, so this is basically accessible to everyone. Now, what I would like you to do is there is on this server, and listen very carefully, on this server, on the loopback address, on port 6000, there is something running on an endpoint called, I believe it is, let me check real quickly. I'm going to stop sharing. 1 second, otherwise I'm just going to give it away. That's not the intention, of course. On the endpoint slash intranet data, I'll put it on the chat, on port 6000 on this server on the loopback address. Can anybody make an SSRF request that will, like, I'm going to give you guys an example of what this SSRF requests look like. So let's do google.com. I can just fill in it and add it here, and it can give me the content of that address. So you get what I mean? How I'm going to make a callback with SSRF to port 6000 on that slash intranet data thing, because if I go there directly, it will already say it's not allowed. And then if I go and add that endpoint, it'll say again, it's not allowed. But I can promise you that you can get this data somehow. Now I'm testing your knowledge if you've been listening to me for the past 10 minutes. Yeah, like we're not gonna spend too much time on this, by the way, and I'm gonna put on some music because it really helps me focus. I have to go through the gateway. This is not really a gateway. This is just an API on the 5000. This is just a website that lives here that can get URLs. So this is not really a gateway. This is just an API here. Mark was like, nope, I'm out. Yeah, but I need you to go to port 6000 on this thing, to port 6000. And I need you to be able to get the slash internal, sorry, what was it? Intranet. I put it in the chat, slash intranet dash data. This endpoint exists, but it tells me this is not allowed from the outside. It's an interesting question, right? From the outside. Indeed. So how would you get this if it's not accessible from the outside, but it is accessible from the inside? It's running on the same server. If I do something like this, for example, on port 6000, see, it's like it doesn't really, oh, well, of course it doesn't work like that, but it doesn't really want this on port 6000, right? So how would I refer to this server from the internal network? How would I be able to do that? How do you refer to a computer? What's home? What's localhost? What do you mean 61 5000? I don't get it. Sorry, Thomas. I'm like this IP address, this IP on port 6000 doesn't work. But I can promise you that this is correct. It's this that's not correct. Yes, but what do you mean is localhost? What do you mean? It's just that this part here is not correct. What do I need to change? So this, yeah, you mean is localhost like this? You mean, right? Localhost. Voila, Thomas, you got it. You got it. Localhost, you're referring to the server itself. Remember the server itself, localhost 127.0.0.1, both would have worked here. But I've said this like 5 times. I've said like localhost, but I said it quickly because I wanted to like what I noticed is that if I talk quickly, you guys don't mind those details, but if I really emphasize them, you do mind. So I hope that you realize now that this is worth listening to every detail of and taking it into account because you need to think I am not outside anymore at this point. I am inside internal network. Now, how else could we test this? Because of course, like I first need to know if SSRF exists. So let's take one step back. I already explained to you a little bit of the exploit methods. Now let's take one step back. And I know, by the way, sorry guys, my coding style or my teaching style might not be right for everybody, but I can promise you that it is worthwhile because SSRF is like a big ass bug if you can find that in bug bounties. Holy crap. And especially SSRF isn't really that difficult to test for. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of webhook.sh. No, fuck. It wasn't webhook.sh. I keep fucking forgetting that name. What the fuck was it again? Damn it. Webhook.io. Yes, that's what I mean. I need. Yeah, I fucking. I have it on my .io. I have it on my GitHub as well. By the way, Jesus. Wes, come on, good job. So basically, there's the security testing repo, and if you go in here, there's like checklists, and in here you have like the FAQ, I believe. There you have like burp collaborator alternative. So these four could be used for this. Post bin as well. I could probably post bin interact.sh could be used, for example, webhook.site is what I was looking for. And request bin could also be used for sure. I haven't used request bin in a while. Let's have some fun with request bin. It's always the same. I always do webhook.sh. Let's do crazy shit. Oh, for fuck's sake. Uh I don't care. Fuck off. Never mind. Sorry I even tried, Karen. Jesus, calm down. Unbelievable. So I could fetch this URL, for example. It gives me 200. What do I see here? I can see my request coming in. So basically, that's how you could be testing. And if you allow this stuff, you could even get like notifications, like, okay, you have a hook or you don't have a hook. So basically, anytime that a URL gets resolved, you could try it with something like this. I don't remember DNS bin, what that specifically does, but that is for DNS request capturing, I believe. You also have Burp Collaborator that you could be using, but that is mostly in the Burp Pro version. So I'm not sure if that is a great alternative. I mean, there's so many free ones. Like, why would you like switch, right? So anyway, that was one of my labs, one of my twisted labs. So I hope you're paying attention from now. Here I also put in what one of those SSRFs could look like. Basically, in Python code, you have a URL that you grab. If the URL isn't there, you're going to return a 400 code, and you're going to try to make a request with that URL, and you're going to return the status code and the content. And that is a SSRF, because any URL that I post to this, I am basically going to make a request from that. There's no limitations on here. There's nothing. That is what that looks like. As simple as it can be, right? Basically, I've already told you that you can try that on an internal port, or you can try that within the network on other servers. Let's do a little bit more practice, because this is already, we have this right now, we have it in the back. Let's do a different one. All right. So basically there's more in here that are a little bit similar, but they have different endpoints that you're trying to touch, but you're normally not supposed to be able to touch. This is literally on endpoint level. So I need to, first of all, I need to go and change that a little bit, because I need to say which host to put it on. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Host is 0, 0, 0, 0. By the way, Orgus, oh yeah, I already told you we could add this to our labs, but on Monday, yes, you're correct about that. Very, very so. Good that you don't work in the weekend. And something tells me that I'm going to find you working in the weekend. So if you go back to that same thing on port 5000 now, you can see that we have a book review site here. So what's that? Let's see. Not even a no, that's just let's see. What I want to demonstrate right here is that I have a website, but I also have API documentation. So this is something I could fetch these book details right here. This is something that I wanted to show that you can do this on API level and on website level. So basically, you also have APIs that can make a URL that can make HTTP requests. Jesus Wes, and those could also be used in our quest. Now, if I go and look at this code again, you'll see. Oh, it also generates a log, by the way. So you can see that we have different endpoints here. We have a route for this fetching books, and there is not really like in here, any URL gets fetched, as you can see. We don't really have any type of protection on here. If I go and I look at the theme park thing right here, where is it? Theme park manager. In here, you can see it's different. This is going to check if the requests come from the internal network, and only then will it actually do them. So you can see for some of them, internal SSRF check here. This is an endpoint. This is a public endpoint, and we have a private endpoint here as well, internal maintenance and the check. So let's run this for a little bit. Let's see. Why the host is 0, 0, 0. This is basically telling it what network card it should bind to when I start it up. the theme park manager. Now, if you go back and you refresh those API documentations from before, there we go. We can already see that we have different endpoints right here. Let's try out this endpoint. So when I try this endpoint, you can see that I have a 403 forbidden. I'm not allowed to execute calls towards this endpoint unless I use my internal SSRF checker right here. Now you can see that this request was made by the server. These I can just do. These are public endpoints. So you can already see three patterns coming up, right? You can do an SSRF attack on a different port. You can do an SSRF attack on an endpoint or on a different server within the network. I also have a checklist for this stuff, by the way, so you can write it down, but you don't have to. But basically, where's my checklist? I'll have to see. Yeah, I'll have to add that. Sorry about that, but I do have a checklist for this. Anyway, so this basically, this is simple, right? This is really easy because you have 4 endpoints. But have you ever come across a bug bounty program with 4 endpoints? Because I haven't, and that is where the difficulty begins. Because you're going to have to investigate every single parameter, every single endpoint to see if it will resolve the URL or not. So all of these combinations as well, it's important to realize what you're fighting here. Am I looking at microservices that I want to approach? Am I looking at internal endpoints that I want to look at? Do I want to look at an intranet? Do I want to look at ports on the same server that are normally only accessible from the same network? Think about database ports, for example. There are options here, and that is what you need to keep in the back of your mind. But this is a very open vulnerability. The thing with this type of vulnerability is that when I say open, I mean there is a lot that you can do with it, but you need to know the exact structure of the network. You need to know exactly what you're fighting. And we can do some port scanning with this stuff as well, right? So what I'm basically going to do, and this is a little bit cheating, I know. Basically, I want to say to ChatGPT right now, can you make me a what type of language should we use? We're going to go for Python. Python script that will loop through the ports from to 5000 to see if going is active for my own tests. So this thing is, by the way, very happy to make hacking content these days. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. All right, so a very, very simple script. I'm going to put that even on the server itself. I think that's simplest to do. So let's do it like this. Oh, no, that's expert. Let's do it like this then. Let's put it just on the root, of course. Now let's put this on the temp folder so I at least don't make it too filthy. And let's call this a port scanner.py. So basically, look how fast that went. Now I want you to do that. I'm not going to give you my script. I want to see scripts from you guys. Give me about like 5 minutes. I need to really take a quick toilet break and then I'll be back. But I want to see scripts for you guys to loop through this from port 1000 to 5000 to see which are active. You can cheat. I don't give a shit. You can cheat. But I want to see a script. If I don't see a script in 10 minutes, I'm going to be pissed off. Yeah, you don't want to see me pissed off. The moment I get pissed off, I slightly raise my voice by half a decibel and I get slightly angry. Oh, you're scared now, aren't you? Yeah, you better be. Ah, silly people. See you in a bit. Yes. Yes. Orgus wins. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But Orgus, good job, dude. You fucking beat me. I'm not gonna lie about it. You fucking beat me, dude. I didn't foresee that. That seems, yeah. That seems good. Hmm. Generates a random number of requests between 1,000 and 5,000. What? Mm-mm. Sky, you need to talk to your AI, buddy. Ah, good job, good job. Hmm. Even the port 5001. Good job. Yeah, really. You need to go and have a talk with that thing, buddy. Mm, sorry about that, my friends. All right. Now, you can do this for IPs. You can just as well do this for, like, as long as you know the subnet. How many of you guys know subnetting? We need marriage in the call. Where's marriage when you need him? You do? Nice guy. So, like, the thing is, if you do like scans like this, you need to know that you are doing the right thing, of course, and that you're scanning the IPs of the internal network. How do you know the IPs of the internal network? It's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be very difficult, that's for sure. We're gonna just guess. You might find a configuration file here or there, and that might contain an internal IP. And that may give you an idea of internal IPs, but it doesn't tell the whole story either. But that's how you need to puzzle together pieces of information to come to a conclusion where SSRF is possible, and also what you will do with that SSRF vulnerability. Because just a basic SSRF vulnerability doesn't work. It just doesn't work. You need to prove impact. I think it's important to. Oh, 1024 is open. I didn't know that. Oh yeah, it is. 1024 is open. That's a fucking bot thing. I fucking forgot. Uh, can't get the stuff. Orgus, you better fire me, dude. Even though I'm the CEO, you better fire me. It's just better for everyone. All right, friends, let's look at the other things that we have in store for you. Let's see at the exploit management thing, I think is next. We also have the book review side, but let's start with the exploit management API, because I'm sure that a lot of you guys like to have some exploits. And the thing with this one is that it is very similar to what we have seen before. Again, on port 5000, you're going to find API information like this. So now I want to, so basically right now, you see that I'm not testing at all, right? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go, does it seem like there might be any security issues here that I could test for? I haven't even looked at that thing. I don't know what's in it fully. Like, of course I do. I've written it. I've seen some exploit validate, some input validation. Okay. Then we have indeed a link parameters string testing for URL validation and potential server-side request forgery attacks. So basically, what I could do is I could ask it now, please make a Python script that does these tests and makes a nice report. Isn't that fucking crazy? This thing is literally writing me an exploit script based on something I fed it. I just fed it some information. This thing is literally making the success as a rep. Why not? And just generating me a nice document on top of it. Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with my ChatGPT either. It's like probably freaking out. That's why you guys have those backticks as well, but that's no problem. You can just go like this. Nano reporter dot py Python 3 reporter dot py. But oh, it's probably, yeah, I know what's going on, but I'm just gonna do it like this because I'm a lazy fucking cunt. I use Python 3, that's why. Oh, I'm an idiot. That's why. That's why. That is absolutely correct. I am not gonna argue that one bit. So I'm an idiot. Do we all agree on that? Yes, perfectly fine. Oh, I need to probably go and activate my source and then pip 3 install BS4. So beautiful soup is basically, yeah, you can use that to parse the websites just like that. Let's see what it does. Reported today, made a report. So let's see what is in it. Oh, of course. So basically, what the fuck is it trying to do? Okay, yeah, localhost. It's trying to do this on localhost. That's the problem. You could just change the IPs here from localhost to admin. Although no, that is correct. It's just trying on the admin endpoint. That's the thing. Here, this is why it's so important to be able to read what the AI is saying. But it is important for me that you're able to use AI in this way. Why? Because I can. I'm able to use it in this way. And I hear people say every single day I hear them say, oh, AI, it's not useful, it breaks, it generates janky code. So what if it generates janky code? Do you really think that you can write this faster? My ass, my fucking ass that you can. You'd have to be some kind of really, really fucking good guy for that, dude. Fucking hell. But it's really important that you're able to use this because I am able to use this. I am actually able to use this. Yeah, you do have to clean it up indeed, that's true. But it's the skeleton that's so important for me. Indeed, that's the thing. It's like an assistant. If I ask my assistant to write me a method or an algorithm, they're not gonna do it perfectly either. I might have to tell them a thing or two. Hey, sorry, dude, it's not perfect. I tested it, and this is the problem. Oh, let me rewrite it. Da, 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 da. And the problem is that people have no way of quickly implementing changes. Because if they see a change like this, they go to their server, they literally go to the line in nano shit like that. I have like shortcuts which like remove certain files, make them immediately again so I can paste that. I work with Git sometimes. I work with Jenkins. I have like my nice Jenkins setup right here. We have like a lot of shit that's going on. So I do try to make it better for myself, faster for myself, and the faster that I am able to work with this stuff, the more accelerated I can get with SSRF, with any type of vulnerability. And specifically for SSRF right now, we can easily see what endpoint it needs to call upon. Like it's simple, right? You can see this is the endpoint that it needs to call upon. Why ChatGPT didn't put that endpoint in there, I don't fucking know. But this is why it is so important that you're able to know what you're talking about when it comes to exploits. It's like, this is why so many people say that ChatGPT generates flawed code because they cannot fix that code. They cannot fix that code. And that's a powerful statement that I'm making right now, because that means that I have adaptability, and adaptability is what matters in this kind of shit. I know the basis well enough to be able to read code that exploits things to where I can correct it if something is wrong. So that is a strong statement I am making here, that you do need coding knowledge to that degree that you're able to read code, change code, adapt it, use it, but not write it from scratch anymore. Unless you're like a really starting coder. The thing is, if you're a starting coder and you're going to use ChatGPT, you're never going to improve in coding. Never. And you will never get to that point where I am, where I can make this thing generate entire fucking Discord bots in a day that do all kinds of crazy shit. So I'm just trying to say here, it's really important that you're able to know the basics very well. The same goes for SSRF, because what I can also do is I can do blind SSRF testing. Now, let's see blind SSRF, because we also have a blind SSRF thing on here. All right, so on this blind SSRF thing, I believe it was on port 5000. Good. Do we have API docs here? I don't remember. No, we don't have API docs. That's okay. I'll just give you the code. All right. Oh, we should have API docs on it. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot again. Never mind. I'm just an idiot. I keep forgetting to do this. I need to change a line at the bottom. I keep forgetting to add hosts. Yeah, there we go. And then host equals 0, 0, 0, 0. There we go. And now I should be able to run that better. So there we go. So we have this blind SSRF thing right here and an internal data endpoint. I'm so generous to give you that internal data endpoint, but like you normally wouldn't get this, right? Like you normally have to figure this out either by fuzzing and seeing that this if there's a 403. That's something you could do, for example, or by looking at code and realizing that this exists. There's different ways, but you do have to find that internal resource that you're not able to access. Right now, this is simple, right? I don't know why it's not blind. This should be the blind one, but this shouldn't return anything. This should basically return a blank message. And the way you could test that is you could really test that with like webhook.sh and stuff like that. Webhook.site. That was it, webhook.site. So basically, the difference between blind and verbose is simple. What are you going to find most in the wild? Blind. Why is that? Very simple, because the thing is, like with these error messages, you have ways to hide all error messages from the customer these days. So you're going to often find blind stuff because you're going to be shown something that is not expected. It gets hidden from the customer. So that is something that you're going to have to live with. And also DNS, SSRF is what you'll find most. Like you have HTTP calls that go out, but you could also have other types of requests go out, like a DNS request, for example. That could also be caught by something like Burp Suite. Is it clear to everybody up until this point? Because I have been saying a lot. Oh yeah, me too, dude. Me too, Wesley. Like I don't know if you know my background, Wes, but like my background actually started in systems and network engineering. I did that as a bachelor's degree. Then I went into programming for several years. I programmed like bigger websites, an auction website where you could like bid on like in a restaurant with and then shit so they could fill on their tables and we could make some money, that kind of shit. And then I started QA engineering. I got into contact with all kinds of software, technologies, stacks, architectures. Yeah, of course, I make jokes about your toys. Like your toys are a joke. What the fuck? What kind of stupid question is that? Come on. Okay, let's move on. Oh no, not the Porsche's network toys. This guy has a fucking. This guy, how many racks do you have, by the way? I forget all the time. Like 2 racks or something, right? In your home. Are all of the slots filled in your racks? 21 and 12. Damn, damn. And I know that some of these things take like 2 or 3 units, right? Oh man, I miss working in networking. No, I don't miss it at all. It's a fucking lie. It's the biggest lie I ever told. Networking was so shit. Oh, dude, CCNA was the worst time of my life. Ah, literally, like when I didn't a huge cocaine habit. I didn't even have as bad of a time as I did when I had CCNA shit. Traumatized for life, my man. Traumatized for life, I tells you. All right, so we have quite a few of these. They are going to become available. They are not available at this point, but they will come available somewhere next week on our main labs.expert.com. All of these labs are built with AI. You might think I'm a lazy son of a bitch, but I can assure you I'm not. Call me that once more and I'm gonna fucking find you. I'm busy with my CCNA now. Oh, good luck, dude. Good luck. I I mourn for you. Poor guy. Jesus. What well done? Don't lie. That's bullshit. Idiot. That's GR. You fucking idiot. Oh shit, I'm not muted. I'm sorry about that. No, no, I'm kidding, by the way. Really, I'm serious. CCNA is one of the better ones you can have. That's for sure. So what do I add here? Host. Who can tell me what I'm adding? What am I doing? Are you paying attention? What am I doing here? Of course, like putting it up to the outside world, but how does would that put it open? How does zero host put it open to the outside world? What the fuck? I want you guys to find me the SSRF. And I'm going to do something while I'm here. I'm going to CD into SSRF. You guys go ahead, try to find me the SSRF on that. I'm gonna change this little puppy right here. Or this, like, let's do 5001. Yeah, these all are going to need a different port, by the way, Horgus. Like, I want you to get that 6,000, 6,000 slash, freaking hell, but 6,000 slash internal data. That should be up right now on localhost. Yours can burn them in the sky. Did you and I? Good job. I see that what you're trying to fetch here is Google. That's perfect. That doesn't really prove that you have like impact, of course, but it does prove indeed that you have your SSRF, and now you can go and dig deeper for any type of internal resources, which you shouldn't really be able to explore. This one, for example. One. Yeah, like the thing is with this kind of stuff is with SSRF, basically it's always gonna be hidden, and you're often going to be looking at APIs. Why is that? The whole world revolves around APIs at this moment. Whether you have an electric car, whether you have a fucking electric fridge, whether you have an electric toothbrush that communicates with China somewhere. Basically, everything communicates through APIs right now. And if you find a endpoint with a parameter and a URL that actually resolves something like this, you can test for that. I should have my checklist in here, but I think I fucking missed it somehow. Yeah, now I'm pissed at myself. Oh no, here it is. It's just my fucking formatting is shit. I put it like this. So basically, you start with identifying potential SSRF points. You already did that. I give you some examples here. URL endpoint field, API endpoint, attach external resource or file uploads that might fetch remote files. That's remote. So basically, let's say that you have a Google Drive file. It might fetch that file, but it might also fetch internal resources. Then you're going to test if that's verbose or if it's blind. Then you're going to map the internal network, try to see what open ports and live hosts are there. Can you do this on, like, let's say that you have a script that goes through the IP addresses and you find like 5 IP addresses. Can you then also go through all of the ports in those IP addresses? Well, yeah, of course, right? That's logical that you could. The thing with that is it's super logical that you can go through those like ports on all of the different hosts that you find. The thing is just that you can script that as well. You can script to look for hosts on the internal network, and you can script for automatically feeding that into a port scanning system for SSRF. So one script, you need to know the network segment that you're scanning, though, of course. You need to know the ranges that you're scanning. And you need to know what ports you're scanning for. So then you're going to evaluate what impact do I have? What have I found on these servers? And then you're going to report those findings. Now, with all of this together, like SSRF isn't that complicated, right? What becomes complicated is discovering information about the internal network. That is basically the biggest issue often. I am not sure about right now. I don't think we have SSRF labs on here at this moment. Not sure, but these are definitely going to come up here as well eventually. So you can always practice on those. I don't mind once again. No, we don't have SSRF things on here. I believe maybe in one of these full systems, but I'm not sure about that anymore. I have to look about that. That's okay though. I think the main message that I wanted to bring over has been brought over. Look a lot on APIs. Look for endpoints that could resolve eventually any URL. Make sure that when you do, you test with something like webhook.site to see if it actually does resolve. If you have something that does resolve, you can do an internal network scan if you do know the internal network segment, and you can do an internal port scan on top of that. I'm sorry, guys, this lesson didn't quite reach 1 hour and a half. I could have stretched it by just making you do exercises, but I don't think that is entirely the intention of this course. Like, there are exercises in these labs, of course. There's also a little bit more of an explanation, the same like what I just told you guys about. Also, what types of attacks you can do. You can do that on specific endpoints. You can do that on specific ports. You can do that on different servers in the network. How does blind SSRF work? And this is from a different presentation. Don't mind that. From slide 10 onwards, don't mind that. There's also an SSRF report in here, a little bit more like written out. Oh, there we go. It already thought there was an issue. And here also we have an attack strategy written out a little bit more. So this might be useful. Here we go. If you find it more useful to have written out instead of a checklist, it's also in here. And to finish off, of course, we have understanding and testing for SSRF. This is very similar, I believe. Yeah, it's almost exactly the same, but that's okay. The study guide is what matters a lot here, I think, and you have some extra materials. To really finish off, I would like to go and look at some bug bounty reports that Orgis has gathered. Thank you so much for that, Orgis. One of the SSRF by adding a custom integration on console.helium.com. Basically, he was setting the integration endpoint to this, and the private metadata from that instance could have been retrieved. So you can see he creates a custom HTTP integration in one of these tools. Basically, you can create integrations in one of these tools. As the endpoint, he's going to set some kind of IP address with metadata from AWS AC2. And our boy got rewarded for that. So basically, he also said what impact was important here. And I think, where is it? I think I'm zoomed in a little bit too much. But is this only? Yeah, that's timeline. So if we go, here we go, $500. Then that's a pretty decent bounty for a pretty simple SSRF vulnerability. Just literally creating an HTTP integration will make an HTTP request. Duh. I think I accidentally clicked open the same one. But yeah, these are all the same. I don't know why I did that. Let's go to the next one. Because the link is still of the previous one.
I fixed it.
Oh, it's okay. I just need to stop being an idiot.
No, I did because I went. There was four of them. I'd highlighted. I'd done it by mistake. I highlighted them all to turn them into links, but every link you clicked on went to the top link, and I fixed that yesterday. Oh, it should have been
yeah.
fixed.
That's okay, dude. I appreciate
Apologies.
it.
Just copy and paste.
Yeah. Or just refresh the page, then it should probably be resolved as well. So basically, they have SSRF in this URL parameter, but they're using a LF line feed. %08 is a new line. That's what you need to, like an enter, basically. That's what they did. So basically, they went to search.gov, they clicked on help manual, and following a request from that, basically, these help documents, they had a URL. When you, like, for our server, for example, if we have URL, we resolve that, like here, it will show that specific help documentation. But apparently you can also do SSRF with this thing. So he's going to insert something for the port 21. He's going to see if that port is open, basically. And by entering that line feed behind it, he's going to bypass the filter. So there are also SSRF filters. Like if you go through the whole feed, you will see. But basically, this guy was also rewarded with a $150 bounty, which is a lot less than the previous one, funnily enough. Which is like, this is a little bit more complicated because he did have some filters, but you see, complication doesn't always mean more reward, right? It's just more complicated. Next one is SSRF plus RTE upload. And I don't really understand Russian. That's okay. We have translators for that. But it's basically he's going to execute a
No, you
tool
can
right here.
translate it on the. You can translate it on the page. I just can't remember where.
It's okay. It's
I thought I
okay. You
better
guys can
remember
go
where
through
I
this
found
one.
that it's there. Something honestly, it's there. Some. If I go back up to the three dots on the very first post, see on the right hand side.
Oh,
There,
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 yeah.
there. See if it's got.
Oh,
Ah,
yeah,
there you
yeah.
go.
Translate. Yeah. But it's being translated.
There you go.
Okay. So I see. Yeah, he's going to run a
Sorry
tool
about that.
on basically finding out that he can grab a file. Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, I see. This is an interesting one. I'm not gonna go through this fully right now, but it's really interesting for you guys to go through what I am interested in, and this is always over my screen. There we go. Rewarded with a bounty, but it doesn't say how much. That's interesting, this one. I like that. That is a lot more technical, but the impact was also a lot higher, of course, which is why probably he got rewarded with more. We do not know, but the impact was higher at any rate. This one here, he says fog bugs import attachment full SSRF requiring vulnerability. So basically, let's see what he's doing right here. He's making a whitelist. This is just an enumerator. Basically, this is a set value that's not going to change. He's going to see if the URL is valid. He's going to define a HTTP URL right here, and he's going to check if domains are valid. Basically, any subdomain right here, he's going to try to make a request towards. Let's see why that is. URL parameter clubbering to force 3 or I didn't read fully through this, by the way, guys, so I'm not gonna pretend that I understand this one, but I'm gonna have to read through this. I'm fucking tired right now. I'm not gonna lie. I'm exhausted. Had a pretty heavy week of colleagues fucking up. This one blind SSRF this one is blind SSRF. This one was probably found by something like an out of band server, but you can see replace. So he made a curl post request with a host being errors.hacker1.net. Oh, was this on HackerOne? Oh yeah, this was on HackerOne. Basically, nice. Host HackerOne, connection closed, content linked, and the origin is hackerone.com. This is important because it makes it seem like the request comes from an internal server, and he puts a lot of data in here. Probably the referrer here is going to be the one that was, or this URL. Either one would, there's a lot of URLs in here. Okay. Either one of those is going to be vulnerable or all of them, but there is no real impact here. So I'm not sure if you got a lot. $1,000. Nice. That's a nice bounty. I like that. Hmm. But what the fuck? Nice. You got a bonus for that as well. That's awesome. Damn. All right. And there's two more. We have this one in the webhook functionality. That's interesting. So we have a PHP page right here that says that basically sets a few headers and it sets location with the IPv6 compressed. So basically he's going to make a request internally to an internal IP address and IPv6 IP address. You can also fuzz those, of course. Like that is like where networking will come into play. IPv6 addresses are pretty much gone. Sometimes IPv6 is used. IPv4 is almost gone. I mean, sometimes IPv6 is used. For internal networks, it's a bit like, holy shit, why would you use IPv6, right? But it does exist apparently. And he is also making the request, but he's uploading that file, I believe, onto the server somehow. So log into the HackerOne account, enter your organization, look for the webhook option, and create a webhook with that URL once the webhook is created. So it's just a webhook that is creating right here. And then he's going to test that request. It's going to make a request, and you're going to see that it's going to return Amazon metadata because of that IP. Interesting, that IP is probably from an Amazon AWS instance. That's why it's IPv6, and it's probably not internally. $50 for a retest, but how much did he get initially? I think geez, this guy makes a lot of comments. Needs more info. Needs more info. I've had that before, dude. That needs more info shit. They can take a long time to get resolved eventually. Pending program review. Eventually triage because they were able to make some kind of port scanning on some internal IP6. And then they found some endpoints on some of these IPs. Huh, nice. Okay, but how much they actually get, I don't know. It's okay. Like, I'm not gonna dig too deep into it, but nice bug, nice vulnerability. Well done, Orius. These are cool reports, dude. Bypassing whitelist to perform SSRF for internal host scanning. As you can see, indeed, for these internal networks, they don't apply such strict security rules because they assume the internal network, nobody's gonna be in here, right? So there's less strict rules, which is ideal for us. And in this case, our dear friend here, how much did he get? I'm always curious about these fucking bounties. Completed a retest and awarded. Nope, it's not there. Anyway, good job, Borges. Thank you so much for that. Good job, everybody. I would say you really did do well. Now I'm going to ask you again because thanks, I appreciate it. Yeah, that's true. Anyway, I'm going to ask you guys again, could you please rate yourself from 0 to 10 on your knowledge about SSRF right now? I know that there's still a lot to learn, and this is only the beginning, but try to also realize that with this information right here, if you practice enough, you can find some really good vulnerabilities. I'm going to leave you guys with this. Sprint to hack lift. Yeah, that's the one I was talking about. So this is a really good example of an SSRF vulnerability, which is like really well explained. Like this is a good one. Give that a watch. For the rest, I would say it's Friday night. It's like for me 10 p.m. I don't know what time for you guys, but I think you also deserved some rest. Try to take that because you cannot give your everything. You're not fully rested. My friends, you did amazing. You're all fucking amazing. And I'll see you in the next one. It is bureau clock time indeed. I will see you later and I'll upload that recording and I'll send you guys the link to the Google Drive. Thank you so, so much. You've been amazing and I will see you in the next one. Bye, amazing hackers. See you later.